Wow, we have one heck of a fire sale going on in the market right now. I mean, actually today it seems like everything is on fire, but man, with these small cap stocks, they are getting obliterated, and there are tons of names that, were high flyers not too long ago that are just getting thrashed. But the small caps in particular, every valuation that I seem to come up on is just looking so attractive. I did grab this one from Yardini Research. I think this one speaks volumes in itself. But this one is talking about the small cap, this S&P 600 valuation, the forward price to earnings ratio, going all the way back to 2004. You can see that it is at 15.6 right now. And there's only been a couple of times that it's been lower than this during the COVID collapse, during the end of 2018. They briefly got that low before it rebounded. I mean, you can go all the way back to 2011, where it was super close to where it is right now. And these, got to remember, the numbers are probably a couple of days old, and the market is getting thwacked again. So these are even more attractive right now. And to find another low number, you'd have to go all the way back to the financial crisis in 2008. So, I mean, these things are getting dirt cheap. If there's some small cap names that you wanted to buy, but they kind of got away from you, now is when I like to sharpen my pencils, dig into these companies, and find out which ones were mostly hype or which ones were diamonds in the rough, because it seems like they're all getting dragged down right now. The baby is getting thrown out with the bathwater, so you could really find some great value in some of these smaller cap names. Just want to make sure you dig in. And this is the way it always seems to happen too. I mean, this happened, during the COVID collapse. Everything was falling apart. I had so many on my list. It was, it was exhausting trying to go through all of them and find out which ones I wanted the most. And, I ended up picking some great names, but it seems like I'm in that same exact situation right now. All these small cap stocks are just getting crushed. But let's go down here to the price to earnings growth ratio, the PEG ratio. I actually like this ratio better. And if you look at this one, you can see the PEG ratio has never been this low. I mean, these things are insanely cheap as far as the price to earnings growth ratio. I mean, even going all the way back to the financial crisis, they weren't this low. They weren't this low during the COVID collapse. And this is just really strange, with how the market is so close to all-time highs. But, some of these stocks have been just getting crushed. A lot of great names, some names that were more hype than not, but there's been some great names that have been getting killed. So if you guys missed any of those small caps that went on fire just a little while ago, now is the time to really dig into them and see the ones that you like the best, because they are getting super attractive right here. All right, well, I just want to go over some of the charts of these stocks that used to be high flyers that are now getting dragged through the mud, in case you forgot about some of them. Now, none of this is financial advice. None of this is trading advice. This is for entertainment purposes only, so please make all of your own trading decisions. But by the way, I do have a Patreon, so if you want to join our small little trading group, it's only $10 a month, and that link is down there in the descriptions if you would like to know what we are buying and selling in real time. And if you don't mind liking the smash button, I would really appreciate that. It helps out the channel in a big way, and right now I can use all the help I can get. But let's get into some of these charts. First one I want to talk about is Nano Dimensions. This one was one of my favorites back in the day. I traded it a couple times, made some money. I currently do not hold any of this company, but it is an interesting one, to say the least. And ARK Invest still finds it pretty interesting. I noticed that they're showing up from time to time on ARK Invest buy lists. Apparently they're not buying enough, because this thing is still rolling over, but this thing has fallen all the way down to $4.50 a share. This thing was well over 17 bucks back earlier this year, so this is a drop of approximately 75%. But one of the more things that I found more interesting about Nano Dimensions today is their $2.50 call option that expires in over 2 years. So they expire in 2024, is selling for only $3 a piece, and that's the ask. If you hit the bid, you can get it for even cheaper than that. So their $2.50 call is selling for $3. It's already $2 in the money. and you get over 2 years of time. I mean, nobody wants these call options. They are absolutely dirt cheap. I cannot believe how cheap some of the leaps are selling on these companies that have leaps. And Nano Dimensions is man, you could really pick up these things for dirt cheap if you want to take a chance on Nano Dimension. I'm like real tempted to just grab, 10 of them and sit on them for, for a couple of years and just see how it plays out, because this seems like there is a ton of upside potential in those call options. Another one I want to talk about is Smile Direct Club. I actually personally don't own any of this, but I have it in some of my kids' M1 accounts. They've been in this for about the past month or two, and it's probably a good thing they don't check their M1 account, because they'd probably be pretty pissed at me, because this thing has been taking a nosedive. But man, this thing is super, super cheap. I took a look at their call options, and their $3 call options, those are the cheapest calls that they have. They still want $1.50 for those with over 2 years of time left on them, which is still cheap. But I mean, that's not even in the money. I mean, price right here is $2.83, and $3 is obviously higher than that, but still $1.50 for over 2 years worth of time at almost at the money. I mean, it's right there. It's pretty close. That is dirt cheap as well. So, I mean, I was actually thinking about grabbing, 10 contracts of those and just sitting on them and see what happens. To me, that's a pretty low risk, high upside play. Haven't done it yet because I do think the market is going to be heading a little bit lower, but let's jump into some of these other names. I don't want to stay too long on one name by itself, but another one was BNGO, Bio Nano Genomics. See, this thing has fallen all the way down to under $4 a share. This thing was over $15 earlier in the year, so this one is starting to get attractive, at least compared to those prices for sure. Another one is Scales to Make Mills. This thing has fallen all the way down to under $8.50 a share. This thing was trading almost to $50 a share early this year. So, I mean, these companies are continuing to grow. It's almost a year since these things have made their highs. Clearly, they were overvalued up here. And if you ever have a stock that is making one of these type of moves, you better start thinking about ringing the register, because this is not sustainable. This is a prototypical, a classic climax run. So if you're into the stock market, you should definitely learn what those are, because if you are lucky enough to be in a stock that goes on one of those, you definitely want to take advantage. But Skills all the way down to $8.38. Another one is Solo Electromechanica, however the hell you say this one. I remember this one was a high flyer, well over $12. It's down to $2.78. And these things, I don't know, I wasn't all that impressed with this company's product, but you could definitely see that the world is going this way. So, I mean, it could end up being a great investment for the future. Another one was NBEV. See, NBEV was a pretty decent high flyer. Got over $4 a share, and now it is down to $1.12. So this one is in the toilet. Excella was a high flyer. I mean, this thing was well over $5. Now it's barely over $1. I mean, there's just a lot of value in these things if they don't go bankrupt. Another one is ASXC. This one's down to $1.30. This one was well over $6 a share. Another one is GSAT. Global Star has been rolling over now. It's down to $1.30. This thing was over $2.50 just a couple of months ago, and it reached a high of almost $3 earlier this year. But this one is starting to roll over, and this one has a ton of potential. If you haven't looked into Global Star, definitely look into that company. Another one is Aqua Metals. You can see Aqua Metals is down to $1.46. This thing was well over $7 a share earlier this year. So, I mean, valuations are coming way down on these. Another one isn't really a small cap, but I couldn't leave this one off the list, and that is SoFi. SoFi is rolling over again, so if you missed this run up in SoFi, I know that I was considering getting some SoFi right around $15 a share. I didn't do it, and the next thing I know, this thing is pushing $20 and above. So SoFi, I might get another chance to grab this thing under 15 or so. That wouldn't be a bad price at all. SoFi is growing super fast. Another one is RESN. This company has a very interesting technology. If you haven't heard of this company, definitely go check them out. But they were well over $8 earlier this year, now down to under $2. And I actually do have some of this in one of my kids' M1 account. I just thought the technology was that interesting to put it in there. Very small percentage. I believe it's only 1%. But if this thing does pan out, it could be a big winner in a few years. But next one I want to talk about is UAVS. UAVS was well over $15 a share earlier this year. Actually made it to a high of $17.70. Let's see how far off this thing is right now. Down 88%. I mean, if you wanted to get into this company, if you thought they had an interesting technology, very, very, very attractive prices right now. Another one is AYRO. AYRO has fallen all the way down to right around $2 a share. This thing was over 10 earlier this year. Another one was Aqua Bounty. I think they have a pretty interesting product as well, and this could be the way fish is sold in the future. So this one is definitely one to look at. Obviously, they had a lot of excitement late last year and early into this year when it was trading over $13 a share, but now it is back under $2.50, and it looks like it's probably going to continue lower. So I think there's still going to be some better prices coming in these, but we can't be that far from the bottom. So I'm really starting to get excited about some of these names. Another one is Sensionics. This one hasn't rolled over all that hard, even though it looks like it's starting to accelerate right now. But Sensionics has a very, very interesting product as well. I think if these guys get to around $2 a share or lower, this is going to be very tempting for me to take a position in. And last one I want to talk about is Wish. Some people like this one, some people don't. But you can see Wish is all the way down to under $3.50 a share. This thing was well over $30 a share earlier this year, so this has fallen about 90%, I'm guessing. Yeah, about 89%. So just a huge, huge decline in Wish. But where there are huge declines, there is potentially huge opportunities. So now, like I said, is when you guys need to start diving deep into some of these. If you miss some of these names and you really wanted to be a part of them, I'm the type of person that doesn't like to chase names. So this type of market environment gets me excited when these stocks that I find interesting start taking off. I usually don't chase them, and unfortunately for most of us, that's when we find out about these companies, once they start getting red hot and exploding. And I'm the type of person that doesn't want to chase, so this is the market environment that I need to take advantage of. All right, well, despite the carnage in the market, I do have some nice looking charts to show you. Just in case the market does turn around tomorrow or the next day, you always want to have some nice looking charts, on your watch list to take advantage of a potential market swing. And this market is choppy as all get out, so you don't have a whole lot of time to think. You just have to have a nice little prepared list. But first one I want to go over is AQST, and I've actually gotten many questions on this one. It's a very popular name, and for good reason. This thing is completing a very nice rounded bottom, and it has been performing better than most stocks over the past couple of months or so. AQST is rolling over today and yesterday, but if we can get down to this support level right around 545 to 550-ish, and the market shores itself up, I think AQST could be one of the stronger stocks, coming out of that potential bounce. So AQST is on my list. Another one that I really like is the Boot Barn. Let me back this thing up just a little bit. You can see the Boot Barn has just been in one of the cleanest uptrends you've ever seen in your life. It is going into this little acceleration blow-off mode here. But actually, when this was on my list earlier, it was a little bit stronger. But of course, the sell-off accelerated into the close. But if you go to that 15-minute chart, you can see that the Boot Barn is making a very definitive upper trend line, and a break above that would be a very nice looking trade for me, a very nice swing trade. I mean, you got this potential false breakdown right here, then price bounced right back up and started to consolidate again. So now we already got that false breakdown. All we need is a break above that trend line, and I think that could be the next swing high in Boot Barn. So that is a very nice looking setup. Next one is Bitfarms. This thing has just been teasing, with basically the same type of pattern, kind of like a bullish flag formation. And because the market has been so darn weak, I mean, this thing just cannot seem to break out. The cryptos aren't exactly exploding right now, but if they do, I think Bitfarms is setting up for a nice potential, another leg to the upside, I should say. So Bitfarms is also on the list. Another one is APT. Actually, I've had several questions on this one. Let me see if I can get this thing out of here. Maybe. Does it work? There we go. You can see ATP has been fighting with these moving averages, and today it had a nice strong move above all of them. So a break above this high right here, about 650. Let me actually go to the 15-minute chart. If we can get a break above this resistance area right here, I think APT could be starting its next leg up. So this one is going to be high up on my watch list because it is right there. And if it does get a break, it could be a fast one. Next one I want to show you is APLS. See, APLS is making sort of a similar pattern as the boot barn. It's making a very nice little bullish flag formation. If we go to that 15-minute chart, we can see it just a little bit better. It has a well-defined upper trend line that it is butting its head up against right now. Now, if we have market weakness, chances are if this thing has a huge move down, that's going to cause a lot of technical damage to this pattern. But if we get a strong turnaround tomorrow or the next day and this stock happens to break above this trend line, I am going to look to trade this one as well. Now, there are a couple stocks that the Patreons have been talking about, and one of them is Applied Materials, and I absolutely love both of these two patterns, both of these two stocks that they have bought. I haven't bought either one of them. I'm just a little reluctant to be taking any longer-term swing moves in any stocks. And the first one I want to show you is Applied Materials. I mean, just an absolutely beautiful pattern. If we were in a regular type of market, I would be all over this one. And the next one is Taiwan Semiconductor. Ticker symbol TSM. We can see TSM making a very nice rounded bottom formation, and this thing is just itching to break out, but every time it gets going, the market just rolls over. That's what happened this day, and that's what happened today as well. It looked like it was on its way to maybe breaking out today, and then the market just rolled over. So very nice looking chart in TSM and AMAT, and those are ones that definitely keep on your list. If the market has a follow-through day to the upside and breaks this downtrend, these could be two leaders starting the next bull run. All right, so now I'm going to get into my trading activity for the day. There were several trades, so I'm going to get through these rather quickly so the video doesn't drag on too long, but I'm going to start with my long-term holds that I added to on these big down days, or when some of these long-term positions that I still believe in are heading down. I like to add to them and pretty much just stick to day trades for the rest of it when we have this shaky market environment. But the first one that I added to was Curiosity Stream. I am very bullish on this company long term. I do think they're going to be a fast grower, and the founder has a large stake in the company, so he's putting his money where his mouth is. And this one started to really accelerate to the downside today, so I added some at $6.76. If this thing gets closer to $5, I'm really going to start to add aggressively because I think this one does have a bright future. If you haven't seen what Curiosity Stream does, definitely take a look at them. Very interesting company, a very interesting business model as well. Next one I want to talk about is, let me see if I can get this to work. There we go. PLNHF, Planet 13. I started my Planet 13 position after watching this thing for a long time. I got in just a couple of weeks ago at $3.76. Had a nice bounce off of the support area, but now it has started to roll over again, and I added some more today at $3.45. So if this thing continues to go down, I will continue to add bullish on this company for the long term as well. And the last one is Alibaba. I added some Alibaba shares at $122.22. And I'm not going to lie, I'm getting a little worried about this one. Alibaba is really starting to accelerate to the downside. Had this big breakaway gap, and this thing is just continuing to run lower and run lower in a hurry. So I know there's all these tensions with China, and there's rumors they are putting pressure on these companies to delist. So if I said I wasn't worried, I would be lying. I do think that those worries are probably going to go away, and I'm probably going to be kicking myself for not buying some more at these levels. I think my first buy was right around $200 a share, so way up here. and my average cost is right around 160. So I am underwater a pretty substantial amount of money on this one, but I'm going to stick with it. I do think that we'll eventually get through these problems with China, and Alibaba should be a much higher stock. I mean, this thing was trading over $300 a share about a year ago, so I do think it's going to be a good purchase for the long term, even though it is a little worrisome right now. But let's get into some of the day trades that I made. First one was on Marathon Digital. A couple of the day trades that I was looking at earlier in the day weren't panning out, so this Mara was also on my list, and Mara started to take off, so I took a short-term day trade in this one. Let's go to the 3-minute chart. Once it started making this little flag formation right here, I bought it on that breakout at $53.40. I ended up selling it at $54.54. Obviously, in hindsight, I should have held on to it for about another hour and a half, but if I was still holding on to it right now, I would actually be down. So just trying not to hold on to any of these trades for too long, just taking what the market is giving me. This one would have given me a little bit more, but hey, hindsight is 20/20. But let's go to the next one, and the next one is ARDX. And this one was actually brought to my attention by Hugo from the Patreon, so a shout out to Hugo for showing me this trade. Let's go to the 3-minute chart and back it up and take a look at this one. ARDX had a big update the day before, and then it gapped up again, so I was watching this one for a potential breakout of the first 15-minute bar, and that's exactly what happened. I got in at $1.42 right here, and I sold out at $1.53 a few minutes later for about an 8% gain. It ran all the way up to about $1.66, and then it rolled over, so a decent little trade in ARDX. Thank you again, Hugo. I appreciate it. And the last one was CNTX. Now, CNTX kind of exploded early on in the day, and I missed it. But once it pulled back and then started to run again, I was watching it. And once it made this breakout above $9.30, I was watching it on the pullback. I wanted to try to potentially play the pullback for a bounce up. This one, I was actually in this one for a little bit longer than I wanted. I got in at $9.36, right about here. And this one, I was just trying to buy the pullback. I was trying to buy it once it got back to this support area that it broke through earlier. So I got in at $9.36, and I sold out at $9.73, which was right about there. So that was a nice little trade as well. And then CNTX just rolled over with just about everything else in the market. So I got pretty lucky on this one. If I would have tried to been a little bit more greedy and, you know, put my profit up here over $10, it would have turned around and I would have never got out. So 3 little trades. I didn't take a whole lot of leverage on these, but it's always nice to make winning trades when all of your other long-term positions are rolling over. It makes you feel a little bit better, and this kind of keeps me interested in the market. I like these little day trades because it's kind of disheartening to watch, you know, your long-term positions when they are pulling back. So this kind of keeps me in the right frame of mind, making these nice little day trades. Not enough to make up for how much some of my longer-term positions were down today, but it's better than making nothing. But those were the trades that I made today. Okay, everyone, that is all I have for this video, so I'm going to end it right there. But if you have any questions or comments on any of these stocks, or if you have any other ones you want me to take a look at, please leave it down there in the comments section. I will get to them as soon as I can. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching my video all the way to the end, and until next time, take care, everybody.